And all right, good. We're good. All right, so we're live now. All right, cool. So I got my man Josel in the building. I got Brandon. So really quickly, guys, what I really want to talk about is Canelo. Canelo has been somebody that's been criticized for moves that he's made in the past and lately for the level of opposition. Josel, I know you're a really big Canelo fan, man. What do you say to the Canelo haters who feel like Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders were just like they're good fighters, but they're white guys? Pretty much, that's the criticism that Canelo's been receiving. He stays away from black undefeated fighters, and he particularly fights white guys or Spanish guys. What do you say to those people?
Honestly, I'm not going to change anybody's mind because if you're set on disliking Canelo now, no, there's nothing I could say that would ever change your mind. In reality, I definitely think like when you talk about like young undefeated fighters, the argument used to that Canelo never took on young undefeated champions in their prime. What ended up happening was he took on Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Plant, guys who don't count, who aren't, their complexion isn't dark enough. So now the goalposts have moved from young undefeated champions in their prime to young undefeated African American champions in their prime, and not just African American. They have to be a certain kind. Because, like, Daniel Jacobs is obviously African American, but according to some, he's not dark. He's not black enough to be considered a legit African American champion, which is ridiculous, by the way. Austin Trout barely doesn't count either. As of late, there was nobody at the 168-pound division that fit that criteria. So now you have to make one up. And I think it's actually ridiculous because I would say that like guys who needed to do that at 168, I'm looking at guys like Jermall Charlo who like, or Andre who were looking for a fight and couldn't get one at 160. They should have been fighting those guys who were on the others, who were on their same side of the street at 168. They could have been fighting Caleb Plant. They either of them could, and there was never a push. Benavidez is there too. Like I just think it's just changing the goalposts is what I think.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Why does a champion need to fight somebody else to get a Canelo fight when guys like I know this wasn't signed, but the Makabu fight was something that was talked about. Guys like Makabu, guys like I'm trying to think of like Avni Yildirim, who although he was a mandatory, but Canelo requested for him to be a mandatory. So much so that the WBC president actually came out with a public apology about putting Yildirim in there with Canelo because the opposition was just one of the biggest mismatches in boxing history. So,
of course,
why does a guy like Andre, why does he need to fight Caleb Plant? Why does he need to fight Jermall Charlo to get a fight with Canelo Alvarez when he's a champion at a weight class that Canelo Alvarez was in?
I think that's a good question. And honestly, I think realistically, Andre is the only person I feel who has a legitimate gripe with Canelo because he was a champion at 154 when Canelo came back down to go fight Liam Smith. He fought Liam Smith after Andre had vacated his title or like, that whole mess with his promotional company. It's not that he needs to fight them. I personally feel he doesn't need to fight them to earn it. I think he needs to fight them to get people's attention because, like, think about it like this. We've been here talking about Canelo fighting champions for the last 2.5 years with a Rocky Fielding and Avni Yildirim in that same sentence. How many Rocky Fieldings and Avni Yildirims have Andrade and Jermall Charlo fought? Let's talk about that because there's quite a lot of them if you look at who they've been fighting at 160. Like Luke Keeler, Jamal Adams, guys like that are who they've been feasting on for the last 2 to 3 years, and no one has any gripe about it. At least Caleb Plant fought Jose. At least Callum Smith won a Super 6 tournament. At least Billy Joe Saunders at the point was a 2-division champion. He did get a vacant belt, and we have to put that into perspective. But he was just as qualified to fight Canelo as Jermall Charlo was. So I don't think it's that they have to earn it. It's more like you have to get their attention because Canelo calls the shots, whether anyone likes to admit it or not. He calls the shots. You have to do something. Lara did something. Obviously, Triple G didn't need to because he was.
Hold on. What did Lara do?
So for Lara, obviously, the thing that got everyone's attention was what he did after the Angulo fight. Do you remember the press conference?
So it's the same thing that Boo Boo Andre has
Yeah,
been doing for
yeah.
the past couple of years. Okay.
Yeah, well, the one that we saw, the most public one, was the one where Canelo was speaking in English, and that thing got trending. But it didn't look the same as when Lara did it. Canelo couldn't clown Lara. He clowned Andrade and his family, and that was unfortunate because I think his father was like trying to really stick up for him, but he didn't let Andrade speak his piece.
I think his father actually ruined it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I think so too. Andrade should have been the one to do it because I do want to see that fight. But if Canelo, there's one Canelo. There's not 5 of them. So while he's busy, what is everyone else doing in the meantime to raise their stock? A whole lot of nothing. And I have a big problem with that because if we were to expect this from all the other people that we like so much of our boxing community, boxing would be a lot better if we saw unifications and title fights constantly from guys. If you have an Avni Yildirim or Rocky Fielding every now and then, fine. If it happens twice in a row, I would have an issue. But that's not what's happening. And other guys are getting away with that. And we don't care. We just kind of sit there and say, well, you know, it's because he's the cash cow. So like we expect more from him. You're right. But no number 1 pound for pound fighter has ever fought killer after killer after killer. You can't name one who didn't have a tune-up fight in the middle.
Who are the killers that you're talking about, bro? Because Canelo hasn't fought a killer in a very long time since Triple G. By the way, he was robbed against Triple G. I'm sorry, Triple G was robbed against Canelo, their first fight, and that's just being realistic.
Okay, so the first fight, yes, I actually scored it for Triple G. I had it 7-5 or 8-4 for Triple G. I think those are the scores that are like the most reasonable and fair, and they should have been for Triple G. But when I say like killers, I really do mean anyone who like posed a credible threat. Who
has Canelo fought that has posed realistically, bro? Listen, I know you're a fan. Who has he fought realistically? Brandon, who has Canelo fought realistically in the last 3 years that has posed any sort of threat to Canelo?
Nobody.
So who are these killers that you're talking about?
I think Billy Joe Saunders posed a real threat to Canelo. Billy Joe Saunders had a style that we like, keep this 100, keep this 100. How many times did we talk about Canelo avoiding slick, fleet-footed fighters who fought on the back foot? How many times did we say this? Over and over again. Constantly. And when he beat Billy Joe Saunders, the narrative then became that Billy Joe Saunders was never that good and that of course he was going to win, even though I've got screenshots of multiple guys talking about Billy Joe Saunders was going to be a really tough test for Canelo. Same with Caleb Plant and Danny, I know you've seen it too. When Caleb Plant was coming out and we were talking about, oh, Caleb Plant is in Canelo's head. I've got screenshots of that too. People change the narrative when their guy doesn't win. And if Jermall Charlo fought Canelo and he lost, you know what the narrative would be? Oh, well, Jermall Charlo fought bums his whole life and he never beat anyone that good, so it doesn't really matter. So, but the real killer that I would like to see him fight, honestly, I want to see him fight Beterbiev. And before Beterbiev, I want to see Bivol. Like, Bivol is a real threat at like 175. That's a fight that Canelo can lose. Like Bivol he's a great boxer. His punching power has been questioned, but I think he's good enough to get Canelo to respect him. At 175, that's there. And the only fight at 168 that I think a guy could like legitimately beat him is maybe David Benavidez.
So, but how do you feel? So it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that Canelo. I know everything that you're saying. You know, it sounds good. It sounds good, bro. Okay. But at the end of the day, this is a realistic thing. Canelo avoids certain fighters until they look a certain way. When Billy Joe Saunders fought Canelo Alvarez, he did not look very good his last fight. Right?
He looked like shit.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, long and behold, all of a sudden, Canelo wants to fight him. What a surprise. Jermall Charlo, his last fight, he didn't look too good either. And now all of a sudden there's rumors about Canelo wanting to fight him. You get the trend? You see where?
No. I get where you're coming from. I'll even help you.
Triple G looked terrible against Danny Jacobs.
I say that I give more credit to Danny Jacobs than Triple G looking terrible because Danny Jacobs was the best fighter that Triple G had fought up to that point. Can we agree?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay, so like I feel that's more Danny Jacobs being better than what we thought because remember what the consensus was at that point. We believed that Danny Jacobs was going to get stopped because he got stopped by Dmitry Pirog.
Mm-hmm.
That was the talk. And when he didn't, we all freaked out. And because obviously Jacobs won some rounds and made it a tough fight.
Mm-hmm. So
Hey,
go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
so all right, so I haven't talked too much on here, but let me give my piece, and I don't know if there's opinion, facts, whatever you want to take it. So the thing with Canelo, right? They've always said he avoids black fighters, he avoids slick guys, this and that. So now, mind you, this is what's said in boxing gyms, Mexican boxing gyms. This is what is said, and this is just honesty. This I never noticed this till somebody pointed this out to me. I don't want to say into this race shit or whatever, but for whatever reason, fighters from the UK, Mexicans, we own them. Like, I don't know why. I never noticed it. Somebody pointed this out to me. We own them. You know what I mean? Think about all the good fighters from the UK. Prince Nassim Ahmed, who'd he lose to? Barrera. Fucking Joshua, who'd he lose to? Ruiz. All the prospects that Eddie Hearn has on DAZN, he puts them up with these Mexicans that have 10 losses, and they're getting stopped. For whatever reason,
Josh Warrington.
For whatever reason, Mexicans, we own the UK. And because what it is fighters from the UK, people don't want to admit this, but every race, every nationality, whatever you want to call it, they all have a style. You know what I mean? It's like everyone from Puerto Rico has a great left hook. Fighters from Mexico, they jab and like to throw lefts to the body. There's all kinds of, the majority of the black American fighters, a lot of them are slick. They predicate, their stuff on defense, So there is styles, but fighters from the UK, how they try to beat you on will, and they try to beat you on heart. They try to outfight you, outwill you. That shit ain't gonna work against a Mexican. It's not. You know what I mean? Canelo, whether people want to admit it, he does struggle against black fighters. But the one thing that he does have, I don't want to say have going for him, but the one thing that you can't say, there's not a fighter. Okay, the fighter that gives Canelo problems from 154 to 168, he doesn't exist. He doesn't exist. A black fighter that's badass, that's slick, that has good defense, he doesn't exist. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
So you don't think Jamal Charlo will give him any issues at all?
No. Charlo will give him a good fight. I think for 4 or 5 rounds, it'll be really competitive. But after probably round 4 or 5, Canelo takes over, and I think Canelo probably stops Charlo late. Mm-hmm. But what I'm trying to say is Floyd, Arizandi, Lara. Ever since Lara, Canelo hasn't fought no one with that style. Don't talk about Billy Joe Saunders. Don't give me Caleb Plant that can box as good as Lara and Floyd. Since then, he's fought a completely different style of fighters. I want to say,
yeah. Go ahead.
So seven out of Canelo's last 9 opponents have been white, and whether people want to hear this or not, Canelo is not going to lose to no fucking white boy. He's going to beat all the white boys around. Now, if there was some exceptional white dude like Joe Calzaghe or, a badass white motherfucker, then yeah, it'd be different. But there's not. Canelo, his records were like 56, 1-2. Canelo literally can be 180-1 if he fights nothing but fighters from the UK. You know what I mean? Mexicans and blacks, we don't respect fighters from the UK. And I know this sounds fucked up, but I'm gonna say, but this is what's being said behind closed doors. This is the reality. We ain't scared of them. We don't respect them. You know what I mean? And the thing is, if you look at Canelo against Floyd and against Lara, he struggled. He had a very hard time closing the gap and with their speed. And with these guys from the UK, they're flat-footed. They're there to be hit. You're not gonna have no problems with it. Now, he was undisputed, right? So he gets a lot of publicity, a lot of praise for that. But when you
at
break
a very
it into,
weak division, when
you look into the context, though, Terrence Crawford was undisputed. Nobody cared. Usyk became undisputed. Nobody cared. Canelo was undisputed, and motherfuckers lost their minds. They literally lost their minds where the people were saying Canelo is better than Floyd. He's better than Pac. He's better than Roy Jones. And the thing is like, let's break it down, right? Callum Smith, Saunders, and Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant is not that, and I hate telling people this. He's not a good fighter. He's 21-0, or he was 21-0. He only had one good win over Uscati, and all the other guys he beat were regional fighters. They weren't world-class fighters. They weren't. You know, and people have called me the biggest Canelo hater and this and that. But I told everyone, Plant does not have a fucking chance against Canelo. He does not have a chance. Billy Joe Saunders is decent, but Billy Joe Saunders, like I say, he looked like shit in his last fight, and he doesn't have the power to hold Canelo off. And Callum Smith, I'm sorry, bro, but Callum Smith, he got his ass beat by John Ryder. John Ryder got robbed. So you can't sit here and feed me the bullshit that this guy is the greatest Mexican, because he's the GOAT of all the Mexicans, because he beat Callum Smith. He beat Callum Smith and fucking Billy Joe. Like, I'm sorry, man. Eric Morales fought Barrera and Pacquiao in back-to-back fights. Like, what are we talking about here? And within a 5-month period, he fought Barrera and Manny Pacquiao when they were fucking pound for pound motherfuckers. Callum Smith ain't on no pound for pound list. Billy Joe ain't on no pound for pound list. Caleb Plant wasn't on no pound for pound list. So the thing is, Canelo has impressive accomplishments, but he still hasn't fought. I don't want to say that. Triple G was a legit win, but he still hasn't beaten 2 or 3 guys that you're like, damn, that dude's a Hall of Famer. That dude's a Hall of Famer.
You know, hold on. Yeah, Triple G was a legitimate win, but the dude tested positive right after. So
wait. After the win?
After the first fight. After the first fight.
Yeah, because you were like after, and you're like,
yeah, but it was before the fight. It was before the rematch.
No. I'm after the first fight. After the first fight, he tested positive.
So and this is the thing. What trips me out is dudes, they don't even know who Canelo's threats are. People bring up Bivol. Bivol's a technical boxer. Him and Canelo more than likely go 12 rounds, but you ain't winning no decision over Canelo. You're not. So Bivol's not going to beat Canelo. Beater Biv, that'd be a hard fight. But
that
as far
fight
as
would never happen, Canelo would never take that fight. Canelo
he
would
might
never take
Beater Biv.
I mean, sorry, if Better Biv looks like shit his next fight, and if he turns like 39 overnight, then yeah, maybe Canelo takes a fight.
Canelo can beat Beater Biv, bro. Beater Biv's a little stiff. Canelo can beat Beater Biv, but it wouldn't be easy. It would be like the Triple G fight.
He could probably beat him, but he's not gonna fight him. He ain't gonna fight him, bro. He would never fight a Better Biv, never, unless Better Biv looks like shit. That's just what it is.
As far as who are the biggest threats to Canelo, and I've told people this, and they laugh. David Morrell is the worst matchup possibly that could ever happen. David Morrell is the worst matchup for Canelo. He's 6'3", fast, powerful, good defense. He has too many physical advantages over Canelo. Like,
I haven't seen him fight. I'll probably check him out then, because I have not seen him fight.
Bro, put it like this: all the hype that Boots has, and it's warranted. Boots is the shit. Morrell, I feel like David Morrell is just as good as Boots.
How old is he?
He's 23, 24?
Okay, so he's younger. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's a young guy, but this is what it is. He has the WBA regular belt at 168. David Benavidez is going to fight David Lemieux, and then whoever wins that is going to be the interim WBC champ at 168. So Canelo, he's going to have to fight either one of those 2 guys, or he's going to drop the belts. What I feel like going to happen, he's going to drop the belts, and he's going to move to 75, and he's going to fight Bivol.
He says, Morrell, Jesus, what am I hearing? Hey, take a look at David Morrell, bro.
I will check him out, because like I said, if I don't know anyone, I'll check him out before I make my thing. Don't let the record
fool you, because the guy only has like 5-6 fights, but he has
like 26. He's like 6-0 with 5 knockouts.
Yeah, but the guys that he's beating have like 25, 30 fights. You know what I mean?
That sounds a lot like Loma early.
As far as a pro fighter, you can't say like, Morrell has this great resume or this and that. It's not like that. But what it is, it's the potential and it's the talent. You see it. Like I've seen it on TV and I've seen it in person.
See, look, the thing
you don't need that many fights though. You don't need that many fights.
The thing about boxing
fans,
though. Bro, the thing about boxing fans is they're so obsessed with this. Oh, who did this guy beat? You know what I mean? They don't actually take a look at styles. And as Teddy Atlas says, what does he say? Styles make fights. David Morrell Jr. has the style to beat a Canelo. We're not saying that he's gonna do it. He has the style to beat him. You know what I mean?
The fight would never happen. Because if Canelo fights him and beats him, then it's he was too green. He hadn't fought nobody. You know what I mean? Canelo wouldn't get any credit. But I'm telling you, as far as 168 goes, Morrell and Benavidez, that's the future fucking big fight. That's the future Jason versus Freddie, Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. That's the future fight right there, is Morrell versus Benavidez. But those 2 guys are without a doubt the biggest threat to Canelo. due to size and that they're actually good.
I actually thought you were gonna say like Berlanga or somebody because I was gonna burst out laughing.
No.
Okay. I bring him up because y'all been seeing his name rumbling around that he could be a legitimate guy in the next few years. I'm like, y'all are out of your mind.
Listen, bro, let me tell you something. And I'm Puerto Rican. Are you? What are you? Are you Puerto Rican?
I'm Honduran and Salvadoran. I'm from Central America.
Okay, so I'm Puerto Rican, right? And
yeah,
he doesn't fight like the typical Puerto Rican, you know, and he does not pass the eye test. He does not pass the eye. Edgar Berlanga will probably be like, maybe like a Prince Nassim, and I'm not talking about talent. I'm talking about to the point like, well, he'll beat a bunch of nobodies, and then when he actually steps up in competition, he's gonna get embarrassed. Edgar Berlanga just doesn't have it, at least not right now.
Nah, bro, but you can't say that about Nassim, bro. Nassim was beating guys, bro.
Well, yeah, but what I mean is like all the hype and you know what I mean. Like when he finally fought somebody like legit like Barrera, he got embarrassed. That's gonna be the same thing with Berlanga, bro.
Nassim though, I think you give Nassim. I think you can give Nassim a bit of a pass though. Only it's not an excuse because I think you have to be ready regardless. Before Nassim fought Barrera, he had a falling out with his trainer, and I don't think he was even fighting for a few years. I know there was something that was going on before he fought Barrera. That was just it wasn't healthy for a fighter for him to do, and he looked like shit against Barrera.
The thing with Nassim was, bro, before we get too carried away, but really quickly, the thing with Nassim was he used to get away with a lot of things that you're not supposed to be doing. Like he had horrible balance. It's just there was just never anybody to exploit it until he met Barrera, you know. And then you could tell Barrera would hit him with like a hook that really didn't have much steam around him, but since he was so off balance, it looked like it was like rocking him and he was ready to fall. You know what I mean? Nassim got away with a lot of shit that you're not supposed to be doing in boxing.
Now, as far as Berlanga, he's too big and he's too stiff for 168. He has a body of like a tight end. And I don't want no 168er looking like a tight end. No, he looks big as shit, bro. Like, look, you know what I mean?
He doesn't pass the eye test, I'm telling you.
A 168 should be like a tall, skinny dude. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Or,
you know, like David Morrell, I can honestly say he's the biggest 168 pounder I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. You know, I met him in person. I'm 6'2", probably like 240. He's bigger than me. Like I would have no physical advantages over him. So
over who?
Morrell,
yeah. So see, that's the thing. That's the thing that I was saying too. Like I said, bro, when it comes to these like young guys that are up and coming, people like Boots, for example, too. Even Boots. People are still asking, well, who has Boots beat? You know, and that doesn't determine, and you know this very well, that doesn't determine who would win a fight, who he's beaten, the resume, you know what I mean? Like, I always say this all the time, nobody beat anybody until they finally beat somebody, you know? And it's no different with David Morrell Jr. The problem is, like I said, is people are so obsessed with that, oh, well, who has he beat? Nobody looks at the styles, and that's what makes fights. It's like Teddy Atlas says, styles make fights.
And then boxing fans, what's sad is boxing fans, they're so aligned or committed to a network. It's either you love Top Rank, you hate PBC, you love DAZN, and that's just the way it is. People say, "Oh, I'm not like that." Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Bro, I've seen. I don't want to call people out, but I've seen a lot of people, bro, like Canelo Charlo. Oh, trash fight, fucking bullshit. But then they're like Canelo Bivol, fire fight. Oh my God, greatest fight ever. I'm like, what?
I think both those fights are great. Like,
I think Canelo
they're entertaining.
Better.
I see that's where you have to decide what you think is better. Do you think it's better because there's being more action, or do you think it's better because the one will be more competitive than the other?
I think both, because like I said, Bivol and Canelo, it'll be a boxing match, and Canelo's content to box. He's cool with boxing. Bivol, for me, he's decent, but he's not gonna get you out of there. You know what I mean?
I think that's fair, but like I do want to get back to like the whole because I want to make this clear, because like undisputed is hard. Like let's make this.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You. Undisputed. Can we all agree that it was the weakest division? Can we all agree to that?
At 168?
At 168.
Like of all the undisputed people, or like at that time?
No, not like of all time. I'm saying like at that time.
At the time, weakest division. Like I would have to look through like
100%.
strawweight and like
160,
junior bantamweight.
the weakest right now.
168, 100% was the
No,
weakest.
160 in my opinion.
No, I'm talking about like when Canelo became undisputed. Caleb Plant, who else was it? Rocky Fielding, and who was the other guy?
No, Callum Smith. It was Callum Smith, Caleb Plant, and Billy Joe Saunders.
And Billy Joe Saunders. Weakest division to become undisputed.
It depends. Do you think the guys from 160 could have beaten the guys at 168?
I don't know. Probably.
It would have been more impressive if he was undisputed at 160, because then he's like he would have beat Triple G, he would have beat Charlo, he would have beat Andre. That would have been more impressive.
I think the Triple G makes it impressive, but like what makes it impressive that he beat Andre? Because Andre is about like he has the same qualifications as he has less than a Saunders, or no he has the same as a Saunders, as a Plant. No. I'm going to compare him to Saunders because he's a 2-division champion. Because he won titles at 154 and 160, so he's comparable to Saunders. So why is he bigged up and Saunders isn't?
Why is Canelo ducking him?
Okay, so I think he avoided Andre at 154 because I don't think the fight was. Well, how would I say this? It's dangerous because like not dangerous in terms of Andre will hurt him. Dangerous as in it'll ruin your stock. Because Andre is a tough fight. Even if Canelo wins, that's not a pretty looking fight. You're probably looking at another fight like Lara. Like you people don't want to see that. And like that'll hurt your brand. Like Andre, I've said this multiple times. You can ask anyone. I believed Andre could beat Canelo because he isn't afraid to stink up the show. He's not afraid to like just stink it out. Like people will boo, people will complain, but he doesn't care as long as he wins. Mm-hmm. I think that's the main reason, but I will say, like, why do we hold Canelo to the standard and we don't hold those guys accountable? Remember
what do you mean?
Okay,
Canelo's the number one guy
I'll make this right now. I'm saying about Andre, Charlo, and reportedly, I don't know if you can confirm this, Benavidez supposedly calling out Andre and then outpricing himself. Can you confirm that?
That
I can talk on that.
Okay, cool. Because I need the deets on that because apparently he called out Demetrius Andrade, and then reportedly they're saying that he overpriced because he wanted over $7 million to fight Andrade.
David Benavidez.
Yes, that's
right,
what. That's
so,
that's.
Let me tell you what's going on with that. Because all right, so basically they were interviewing David Benavidez, and Benavidez is like, "Yo, I'm open to fighting any of these guys and this and that." You know what I mean? And Samson, his promoter, Samson Lechowicz, something like that. His promoter, Samson, was on the Boxing Voice with that guy, Nestor Gibbs, and that other dude. Yeah. So they were asking him, would you be interested in fighting Andre and this and that? And mind you, Samson, he speaks English, but his first language is Spanish. So for me, it didn't make sense what he said. Like, I don't know if it was maybe a language barrier or whatever, but so basically what he says, he goes, they asked him how much money would it take for y'all to fight Andre, you know what I mean? And he basically said, well, it would be more money than for Canelo, which makes no sense. You're not going to get more money to fight Andre than you are to fight Canelo. So I think he said we would want more than 7 million, 10 million, I don't know, some crazy number to fight Andre.
Hold on.
I don't like that site. I don't like that site at all.
No?
Yeah, but I mean, I saw...
No, just that site. It's only really that site because, like, you'll notice, like, I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick, but that site, I've been seeing that site since 2014. It's literally a bunch of dudes who will post, like, their biases based on who they like, and that's just all their work. Like, Dan Ambrose and, like, some other guy who only liked pro-black fighters. Like, that's why I don't use Boxing News 24. Like, any other site is fine, like Boxing Scene or, like, anything else.
No, but listen, Jose. How do I say Jose or
Josel? Just call me Joe.
Josel. Cool. So Joe. So basically, what it is, it's what was I gonna tell you? It's an interview. So it wasn't just like some bullshit story. It was an interview. And I like David Benavidez. Me and his dad were really cool. So me and Jose Benavidez Sr. Me and him did a really good interview. So. I mean, the thing is, though, is I'm not going to sit here and lie. So what Samson said, I think it did make them look bad, and it made them look like they're ducking. And then it makes Andre look like some fucking big boogeyman that nobody wants to fight. But like me personally, like I feel Andre's overrated, bro. I feel like Morrell beats his ass. I feel like David Benavidez beats his ass. I mean, honestly, Canelo knocks him out, and I don't even like Canelo. I mean, Andre for me, he's decent, but he's not that good.
Andre gets a lot of, and I know you'll probably want to say something after this, Danny. Andre gets a lot of credit for things he didn't do or for fights that haven't happened. Like he's the only guy that gets like so much like beef up for like things that haven't happened. Like people talk about like people who ducked him, and they have. That is not deniable. But what isn't like talked about? Did you know this guy? Like you know he ducked Derevianchenko, right? Back when Derevianchenko was undefeated, when they had a fight and then they pulled out. How about the time that that they asked him about Lara when Lara was available at 154? And do you know what Andre called him? A boring fighter. That was a last resort fight. That was something that they couldn't pull out. How about the fight that he was supposed to have with who was it? I think it was a Matt Korobov or it was somebody else. The dude always has a reason for pulling out of fights or just avoiding his mandatory just recently when he was finally going to get some real smoke. And then he finally decided to move to 168 to end up fighting somebody we're not going to care about. Like the guy he's been dealt a bad hand. He's also dealt his own bad hands, and we need to start calling people out on it.
Well, do you think it's because he's 33, something like that?
33, yeah.
Time is ticking. Time is ticking for him. Do you think it's just he really, really wants that Canelo fight? He wants that payday.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Maybe he just doesn't want to risk losing to somebody that, you know what I mean? And then because that Canelo fight is already hard for him to get anyways. He's probably gonna, I don't know what he's gonna have to do to get that Canelo fight. But,
no, that's fair.
You know
that's very fair.
I feel like maybe he just doesn't want to risk that. He doesn't want to risk a loss to or even a bad show. Well, maybe a bad showing because then Canelo might want to fight him. But maybe he doesn't want to risk a loss to somebody else that then 100% that fight with Canelo that's not even in the table. Now it's all like, you know what I mean? Like it's even harder now. So that's probably why.
But you have to remember, this isn't the first time. We've been dealing with Andre and his antics since like 2013. That's almost a decade ago. Remember, he had a fight on a dotted line with Jermell Charlo. And what does he do? He pulls out because he thinks he deserved more money than what he was getting, when that would have been arguably his best significant fight. What's his biggest significant fight now? Bonus? Probably. Like at some point, you have to take responsibility for your own actions. We expect that from all the other fighters. Look at my guy, okay, I'm gonna bring this guy up because I really do like him. Paul Williams, right? Like, does anyone remember when Paul Williams couldn't get a fight at 147?
Yep.
What did he do?
Yep.
He moved up to 154 to go fight another boogeyman in Sergio Maravilla Martinez. And he made something. He got fights. Obviously, his career was cut short, unfortunately. But like, fighters got to start taking like charge, bro. Nea Inoue, he had a championship fight, I think, in like 4 or 5 fights, and was knocking dudes out and beating them. He's now a 4-division champion, dude. Like, guys got to start doing stuff like this. Like,
yeah. So let me let me ask you, man, because the reason we hold Canelo to such a high standard is because, number one, most people consider him the number 1 pound for pound king right now, at least top 5 at the bare minimum, right? So I cannot hold Jermall Charlo, somebody who hasn't even sniffed the top pound for pound. I mean, not Jermall Charlo, sorry, Andre, who hasn't even sniffed the top 10. You know what I mean? I cannot hold Andre and Canelo to the same standard. I just can't. So let me ask you this, because Canelo is a shot caller. Whoever he wants to fight, the fight gets done, no questions asked. He doesn't have to chase anybody around. He doesn't have to do any antic. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I get where you're going.
How do you feel? Okay, so how do you feel about Canelo? Because David Benavidez said once he became his mandatory, that Canelo was going to go and vacate. And I don't know if he actually vacated, but then that's when the Makabu talk started. How do you feel about that Makabu fight? Because I don't know if it's still in the works. I have no idea what's going on with that.
So that fight isn't happening because Makabu has a mandatory he has to take care of. You can't sign on
that mandatory.
What? No, I thought no. He has another fight. Makabu has another fight coming up.
He fought like 2 weeks ago. I thought that was the mandatory.
What was it? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. Hold on. I'll tell you right now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Because.
Okay, so look, guys, this is what's going on. So Makabu, right? He fought the whole reason that Canelo wants to fight Mukabu, right, is because Canelo is tied with Eric Morales, Jorge Arson. I want to say like 5 or 6 other Mexicans with 4 division titles. So what Canelo wants to do, he wants to get the cruiserweight belt so he can be like, I won 5 divisions. I'm the Mexican with the most, with the most titles, most divisions won. So, because the thing is, he's trying to, and what's sad is like a lot of people, they're buying into this, that he's the GOAT, that he's the Mexican GOAT, that he's his all-time great. I mean, I think Canelo's a Hall of Famer. He's a great fighter and all that, but he hasn't done more than Eric Morales. He hasn't done more than Chavez. He hasn't. Those guys, they fought and beat better fighters. So that does count.
Wait,
you know what I mean?
I want to get on that real quick because okay, social media didn't exist really back in the day with Eric Morales and Julio Cesar Chavez. I'm going to tell you right now, if social media was a thing, we would have been destroying them online for who they were fighting. Yeah, we talk about like the Barreras, and obviously for Chavez, like the Meldrick Taylors and like the Roger Mayweathers and guys like that. But like, we would be destroying them for the guys they were blasting through while they were raising up their stock. Like people want to view the past with rose-tinted glasses when that's like the furthest thing from the truth. I'm not saying they fought entirely bums because like people who say that have like an agenda, but to say that Canelo's resume isn't comparable, I think that's dishonest. I'm not saying Canelo's better than them. And honestly, the Mukabu fight is just the Andy Ruiz, not Andy Ruiz, Roy Jones fighting Ruiz for a heavyweight title. That's what that is, because Jones wasn't about to fight a legit heavyweight.
I mean, John Ruiz, he was trash to me, but he's way better than Mukabu, bro. Mukabu is a fucking cherry, bro.
But John Ruiz,
he's a walking cherry, bro.
No, Mukabu is the easiest of the champions. I'm not lying. I'm not telling you Mukabu is the best of the cruiserweights. I think he would lose to guys who aren't even champion at that cruiserweight. But at the end of the day, it's literally just John Ruiz. Because like, can you name a guy John Ruiz beat that we hold in high esteem?
Evander Holyfield.
I was just about to say,
wasn't he older though?
He was older, but at that time he had just been Mike
he had like
1,000 years old. Yeah, Holyfield was.
Yeah, he was old, bro. But come on.
Yeah, he got knocked out by James Toney as well.
Because like if we're gonna do that,
the number 3 cruiserweight in the sport.
Look at Mukabu. Look at him. This is
no. I'm not saying. Yeah, no. You're right.
Garbage,
Mukabu isn't all that. Mukabu isn't all that. No,
my boy Artman looked better than this. Come on, man. It's garbage, bro.
Is Canelo as good as Tony Bellew?
Tony Bellew?
Listen, if it was easy,
is Canelo as good as Tony Bellew?
At cruiserweight?
No, I'm asking you, is Canelo as good as Tony Bellew?
Fans do have an unfair standard of Canelo.
I think he would be better by default, right?
Hold on. There was like 3 people that talked at once.
Yeah, let's keep it one at a time, guys.
Go ahead, Giselle.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, he asked me a question. Was Canelo better than Tony Bellew? It's like, no, Canelo's way better than him by far, right? Like, we all agree. And I think because Tony Bellew knocked out Mukabu, right?
He iced him, bro. Like, he didn't just knock him out. He sent him to hell. Like, it's one of the ugliest knockouts you'll ever see, bro, ever.
Say that again?
Yeah, I think Canelo's better than all the heavyweights as well. So, no, mate, I was saying, like, I think Canelo's better technically than all the heavyweights. But what does that mean? When you jump pumping weight, even though Canelo's a more skilled fighter, he's given up a lot of physical size and strength. Look, if it was easy, guys like Charlo and Benavidez would be doing it. They would not be fighting Ronald Ellis. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's an unfair standard. There's an unfair standard for Canelo. Like Benavidez, he fights Ronald Ellis, or he's the boogeyman. Like, let's get the pom-poms out. Canelo's fighting champion after champion across different weights. And it's like, yeah, but Canelo needs to do more, though. I feel like it's
because who are these guys? Billy Joe Saunders is whack.
Undefeated 2-division champion.
Get him, man.
But then every champion is whack.
Have no power.
Then every champion is whack. Because like none of the guys you mentioned, because none of the guys you've mentioned that like you want him to fight have done anything more than a Billy Joe Saunders. The only guy you could say that has done more is Beterbiev. Is better be.
Explain?
What legacy Blazers?
Charlo definitely done more. Charlo's an
against Montiel.
No. Hold on.
Guys, one at a time.
One at a time, guys.
Let Artman speak real quick. Check this out. Charlo is an undefeated 2-division champion who's never been stopped,
Just
never
like Billy
been
Joe.
dropped.
Billy
And
Joe,
guess
yeah,
what?
same thing.
Here's the thing. Charlo never had a fight signed, got
Yeah.
caught for performance-enhancing drugs.
Mhm.
After a while, did a suspension, and never came back to fight the guy that he was supposed to
Okay.
fight, which is Andre.
Who's had a better
I don't know
resume?
about you
Okay, cool.
guys, but I
Who's
don't
had a
rate
better resume
guys
at
Let him talk.
160?
Kimbo, let him
I
talk.
don't rate
let him
guys
finish.
who feel the need to take performance-enhancing drugs over undefeated guys who are top contenders in their game. I don't understand that.
Okay.
How do you say a guy who took performance-enhancing drugs is better than an undefeated 2-division champion?
Listen, the other problem is, I'd say Billy Joe had a better run at middleweight than
Oh, drugs
Charlo.
don't matter,
Andy
huh?
Lee, David Benavidez. Listen, he failed the drug test. That is what it is. But he's still, like you said, undefeated champion, Olympian, and he's got a better resume than Charlo. So
No,
I
he
get the whole
doesn't.
drug thing.
No, he
That
doesn't.
is valid.
He
but
doesn't. Julian J.
Wait.
Rock Williams, undefeated top contender. That's not a
No,
better
Didn't he
wait,
lose
resume.
his last two
but he's
fights?
not a
Dude, what?
champion though. But that's just a
Derevyanchenko?
prospect. We can't be giving guys props
Derevyanchenko, the
for
guy who arguably beat
not a
Triple G,
champion,
and you're
Coming off
telling
5
me that
losses.
wasn't a
Coming off 5
champion.
losses, yeah.
Yeah,
When's the
wasn't a
last time
champion.
Derevyanchenko won a fight? Like, come on, man. Like, when's the last time Derevyanchenko won a fight? Like, let's
Bro,
not
Derevyanchenko was
build
robbed against
Derevyanchenko into
Triple G.
something
Well,
Let's
special.
keep it
no,
going.
he was though, but we can't give if we were to give ifs, ands, and buts, we'd be here all day. We could do that for anybody's
But are we
resume.
boxing fan or political boxing fans? Because can we all see with our own eyes that fucking
No, we
Derevyanchenko
can.
beat the shit out
No,
of Triple G,
we
and
can.
then
But
when he
like
got in there with Charlo, he looked
but
fucking
you can't.
average?
You
If
can't
Derevyanchenko
you can't
robbed
just say
Golovkin,
things just to
there's
make someone
horrible
look
If
better.
that's
against
You
the
can
Charlo.
case,
only
then
go
we should
off
look
what
at George
actually
Kambosos
happened.
as undisputed then.
Like
Most people
I
think
only talk.
Karpov got robbed against Charlo.
Guys, one at a time. It's hard to hear.
Okay, let him speak. Yeah. Go ahead, Armin. Go ahead.
Armin, finish what you were saying.
Okay, let me go. Check this out. Billy Joe Saunders, his last fight with whoever before Canelo was trash. He damn near got stopped in that fight, dude. Come
he beat
on, let's be
Murray.
real.
No. He
Billy
beat
Joe
Martin Murray. He schooled
Saunders'
the shit
biggest
out.
win is David Lemieux.
He looked better than Charlo.
And who the fuck is David Lemieux?
It was actually Andy Lee, but okay.
In America, nobody knows
the same
who the
Andy
fuck
Lee
who
that
that
But
is.
wait. Hold on. Okay, I want to
The
respond
same
to that
Andy Lee that
because
knocked out
like.
Karpov.
Hey, so real quick, let me say something real quick
Billy
though.
Joe
Okay.
Saunders is fucking ass. You would even pick Billy Joe Saunders to beat Charlo. So stop.
But
fucking
wait,
playing.
I don't know about that. Before
The way he
that
looked
fight
against
happened,
Karpov,
I
he's
guarantee you,
garbage.
I
I don't
guarantee
know.
you, Billy Joe Saunders would have been the
The way he
favorite.
looked against Karpov.
Hey,
Against
hold on.
He would have beat the shit out. Billy would have outboxed
Just-
Charlo.
Hell
guys,
no.
just-
Charlo would
What?
have knocked the fuck
Yeah,
out of
no,
Billy
hold on.
Couldn't
Joe
even
Hold on,
outbox
Saunders, bro. Are you
Canelo.
fucking
No,
nuts?
but Canelo's a better boxer than Charlo. Y'all are
He's
tripping.
not a better boxer than
Yeah,
Charlo.
yes, he is.
Karpov.
Oh
No,
my
he's
God!
not,
No,
bro.
hold on. We saw
Canelo's a good
Charlo. We saw
fighter. Don't get
Charlo
me
getting
wrong.
his ears muffed up by an older Austin Trout that Canelo and Erislandy Lara had already
Washed up
beaten,
Karpov.
and Matt
Bro, he
Korobov,
had a
who was
competitive
coming
fight
he was coming in as an
Bro,
intro
he had a
because.
competitive fight against a 50-year-old Cotto. What are we
What are you
talking
talking
about?
about?
But yeah, but we don't.
Exactly.
But we're not saying that the Cotto fight is the end all be all pinnacle fight for
Karbov's a
Canelo.
So
journeyman.
we're not going to say that the
And he
overall
beat
fight is
him.
the end all be all. So what are you saying?
Hey, guys, let me
Yeah, but he's a
give me
journeyman,
10
though.
give me
Karpov's a
10 seconds though.
Hold on. Let Brandon talk.
Okay.
Give me 10 seconds, dog. If we're gonna be honest, right? Comparing resumes of Billy Joe and fucking Charlo, bro, Andy Lee, Spike O'Sullivan, Eubank Jr., Lemieux. I'm sorry, bro. Those wins do not compare to a win over J Rock and a win over Derevyanchenko, bro. Derevyanchenko, he beat Triple G. He just,
Easy.
because of politics, he didn't get the decision. So I
Easy.
know
He's a glorified loser.
when dudes talk about Big Charlo, they be like, "Oh, well, he ain't fought nobody, bro. He beat J Rock and he beat Derevyanchenko."
Wait, why is J Rock rated so highly though? Like, what are we basing this off? Like, I just want to know so that way, like, I can have an understanding.
He had 3 belts at 154.
He
got
beat
knocked out
Jared
twice
Hurd,
as well.
right? That division. I'll be honest. We talked about 168 and 160 being weak. I could argue 154 is just as weak as, if not weaker.
Nah,
Dude, you're fucking nuts.
No,
154
go ahead.
154 got
Go ahead.
Scarlo,
Compare the
Castano,
fighters. Compare the fighters.
Lubin, Fandora, Jesus Ramos.
Lubin,
54 got some guys, bro.
Pache.
But do any of those
Are
guys
you
from
nuts?
54
And then
beat the
you
guys
say
at
guys like
160?
Spike
No,
O'Sullivan?
go ahead. No, tell me. What guy from 154 goes up to 160 and beats any of those guys?
Shit, my young boy Jesus Ramos.
No, none of them. None of them. Not one of y'all would put money that they would eat either
I would
Charlo.
put. You know that, right?
No,
Yeah,
of
but you
course
have to
not.
look at the
No,
facts.
like
no, no
saying
one, no one starts trash. Yeah, I agree.
Yes, it is. It's like using their privilege to say, "Oh, these guys are way better than him because they're able to move up the ranks and fight this guy." Hell nah, dude. You still got to
Who's
look
got
at
the
the
privilege?
styles and look at the way they
Who's got
perform.
the privilege?
It's like saying that motherfucking Porter is a much better fighter than Boots because he accomplished more than Boots. But we all know with our own fucking two eyes that this guy. Boots
I have
is
my own
skilled as
thoughts on
fuck.
Porter, but like that's fine.
He's not better than Boots.
Yeah,
all.
you know
No,
what
he's
I'm
not.
saying?
He's
You
not.
guys are
Oh,
saying because they're able to
I never
achieve-
said he was. I'll go to test. Yeah, if they fought, and regardless of what you think of Porter, yeah, he would beat Porter. Like he'd stop him probably.
Exactly. And you know this how? Because you can see with your eyes that the guy is skilled. He may
No,
have
no,
not got
but
the
that's not a fair
opportunities that certain
comparison.
fighters have, but that does not make him less than, dude.
But
Come
I can
on,
but I
bro.
can look at Boots and
It's so
say that.
Come on,
Like
we're
when I
boxing
look
fans.
at
We're not
Boots,
political boxing fans. We're looking at it
It's
how
not
it is.
political. It's called comparable. Boots is a
Like-
young prospect, dangerous. Porter's a veteran champion. You can't compare the two. Comparing Billy Joe and Charlo is very realistic because they're at a similar age. They've had a similar amount of fights. One guy's done more.
Yeah, and one guy
that's just
needed
facts.
one guy
That's not
needed
opinions.
to get used performance enhancing drugs, and the other guy didn't.
Okay.
What does that say
Okay,
to
but
about
the
the
sport's
fighter?
never been based off that. That's not a
What does that
criteria in the
say about
sport.
the
You've been
fighter?
caught doing
That
drugs.
this guy
Well,
felt
Luis
the need
Ortiz
to
got
take
caught doing
performance
drugs.
enhancing
So he
drugs
got
while
a
the
title
other
shot twice.
didn't.
yeah.
Wilder fought Luis
I
Ortiz
think
twice. He
I
got
think
busted as well. So what are we doing here? A lot of Wilder fans love Dick riding that win. He got busted twice for using
What are we
drugs.
talking about,
So-
Wilder? We're talking about Billy Joe Saunders
No,
and
I'm
Charlo. What
using
are
a
you talking about?
comparison. I'm using a comparison. You brought out drugs,
No.
yeah? I'm saying fans pick and choose who they want to criticize. That's what I'm saying, right?
no,
The
I think
drugs thing
okay.
isn't
I
valid.
think
Billy Joe was a unification, right? Charlo was a fan request. Billy Joe was a 3-belt unification, something Charlo's never even dreamt of.
Wait. So there you go. Using fighters getting opportunities that others don't get.
wait.
As
What's stopping
basing on-
Charlo from getting a fight with
you're
Andre?
basing
He had an
that-
opportunity
saying
to
that
fight
perspective.
Andre.
What's
He said
stopping
no.
what's
He had
stopping
an
Charlo from
opportunity
getting
to
a fight with
unify against
Andrade?
Andre. He
Well,
said no,
apparently
thank
to
you.
you, Andre.
So do you think it's fair
Hey,
that the
one at a
WBC
time, guys. One at a time.
Let me
please.
just
One
ask this
time,
question for the guy who's speaking. Do you think it's fair that the WBC would give Canelo additional belt to fight Caleb Smith?
Listen, do you think it was fair that he was
Do you
offered the
think that's
opportunity
fair?
and a career high payday to unify against Andre? He said, no, thank you. Where's Dennis Hogan? Where's, Brian Adams? Where's
Wait.
Montiel?
Okay, I
Come on,
love
we
that.
got to use facts.
Can I bring this up?
Like, you're
Can I
out here
bring this
capping
up?
the Charlo, and he
Can
hasn't
I
done
bring this
shit.
up?
I'm sorry.
Like, come on, let's keep
Can
it
I
up.
bring this up? Check this out. You do understand that
I don't want Andre, I
after
want
Charlo
Montiel.
beat,
Yo,
you
let
do
him
understand
talk, let him
after
talk.
Charlo beat Hugo Santana, he became Canelo Alvarez top contender mandatory. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And what
Yeah, of course,
happened in
yeah.
that situation? The guy ended up getting a franchise
He
belt,
turned down the offer,
a belt
Golden
we've
Boy
never
offer.
heard of, which,
Yeah.
regardless of what you say, it put Charlo in a position where he was no longer Canelo's mandatory. He was robbed of an
We should have
opportunity.
took the Canelo fight.
And you
then.
want to talk about,
Listen, when
well,
Canelo
he's
offered
doing
him the
that.
fight.
The brother was robbed of an
No, mate, you
opportunity.
haven't used the facts, though. His own little brother said he turned down the fight. His little brother said he said no to the Golden Boy contract, right? Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins, Eric Gomez, and even little Charlo,
said that
all
he never
confirmed.
received
They sent an
a
offer to
contract. What are you
Big
talking
Charlo.
about?
That's
said no.
gonna be a lot of he said, she said though. It really
Well,
depends
his
on
little
who
brother
you
differs from
believe.
that. His
Okay,
little brother differs.
this is
Guys,
facts
let's
right
not-
here,
please,
though. This
please,
is facts
please.
right here.
Continue, guys.
Charlo beat Hugo Centennial, became the WBC number one contender. The WBC created a fake belt and gave it to Canelo Alvarez, which made Charlo the champion and made Canelo
Well, he should took the
some
offer
type
then.
of
Look,
super
Bernard
champion.
Hopkins has gone
You
on
do
record.
understand that,
That's
right?
not rumors.
Wait.
You do
But
understand
no,
that,
no,
right?
wait.
No,
Since we're talking about opportunities that were lost, are we going to talk about Jamal Charlo calling
that's
out
so
someone
funny,
at a
dude.
weight
That's
class?
so
No,
funny.
because
You're
we're
like
going to
one of
talk
those
about
white
everybody
kids
because
who
you
brag
want to
about
talk
having
about
white
like how
privilege.
it's unfair that somebody got an opportunity. How about the fact that Jamal Charlo called out a bigger man in David Benavidez, and when it got called out, he not only decided not to go through with it, he asked him to be vaccinated, bro.
How do you
He
duck
said the reason
somebody
was
that's
for
not even your
vaccination.
weight
How do you?
class? That doesn't
No,
make any
no.
sense.
Wait,
How
if
do you
that's the
duck
call him
somebody
out
that's
then?
not
no,
in
You
your
if
can't
weight
that's the
have it
case,
both
why are
ways.
you calling people out that are bigger than you?
Exactly.
You
Right,
don't
don't run your
say
mouth
that.
if you know
No
get
one,
that
no
straight.
one,
Let me
no
get
one
this
is
straight.
making you do that.
If
No
Earl
one is
Spence-
making you do that.
Let me get this straight. If Earl Spence never accepted Mikey
So why is he
Garcia's
calling out
call out,
Canelo?
will he be ducking him?
Errol Spence
Okay, why is
doesn't
he
have
calling
to accept
Canelo?
that.
He's not his weight
Like
class.
Mikey Garcia, no, Mikey
Hard man.
Garcia. wanted a fight with
Why is he
with
calling
Errol
Canelo out?
Spence.
He's not in his weight class.
But Mikey
That's
Garcia,
Benavidez, right?
Spence didn't accept,
Isn't
and
that
then
your
Mikey
logic?
Garcia said no.
One at a
Jamal
time. One at a
Charlo,
time.
Jamal Charlo asked for a fight for David Benavidez. It got accepted. Then Jamal Charlo said no. Did Mikey Garcia throw a challenge to Spence? Spence accepted, and did Mikey say no?
Yep, it's a different situation because
Exactly.
you know he talked
I
the
thought
talk,
so.
Hold on,
Exactly.
guys.
walked the walk.
Because in that
Give me,
situation,
give me,
Ducked and
give
darted.
me, give,
Hold
in
on,
that
hold on.
situation right
hold
there,
on.
people were
Guys,
telling
give me a
Spence
minute.
he would be
Guys,
ducking if he didn't accept
one
his
at a time.
challenge.
Let
And then when
me
he fought him
let me
and beat
play.
him, he didn't get any credit for beating him because everybody said he's fought somebody that was smaller than him.
Let me
But
play
Danny Jacobs
mediator.
cornered him and sent him an
But
offer.
yeah,
Why
y'all play
didn't they take
mediator.
it? Danny
Somebody play
Jacobs
mediator.
told
Let's
him
go
Jimbo,
one at
hold
a
on one
time.
second. Jimbo, hold on one second. Brandon, go ahead.
All right, just give me a second. All right, let me play mediator, and I'm gonna drop some bombs on you. All right. So this is, and mind you, this is just gonna be honest. You know, this is gonna be the truth. So with the Canelo Charlo shit, right? The reason that they elevated Canelo, it's not a super champion because a super champion eventually will have to fight a regular champion. When they franchise you, you don't have to fight the regular champion. So there is no mandatory, you know, you're franchised. So the problem, but the reason the WBC did that is because when Canelo was going to fight Triple G, it was already going on 3 years that Canelo would just flat out refuse to fight Triple G, and the WBC had their hands tied, and they wanted to be taken. They wanted to be taken more serious. The WBC wanted to be recognized as the best sanctioning body, the one that does everything the way it should be. So they did what they were supposed to do. They stripped Canelo because it's already going on 3 years. You're flat out refusing to fight Triple G. We got to strip you. So they stripped him, and because of that. Oh, hold on. Let me finish, please. Guys,
Can I
let me
respond
finish.
after
Let
that,
him finish.
please?
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Let
And
him
then
finish,
Armin,
please.
you can go.
Okay, I would love to respond once he's finished.
Okay.
Let me finish. So the Canelo did not vacate. They stripped his ass. That's, you know, you can look it up, Google search. They stripped him, and then Triple G was the number one contender, so they made Triple G the champ at that time. Once they did that, Canelo vowed that he would never ever fight for the WBC belt again. He was fucking mad as hell at the WBC, and even when he beat Triple G in the rematch, he didn't take the WBC belt. Because he refused. You know, he promised, I'm never going to wear the WBC belt again. So that's why Mauricio. Just hold on, guys. Let me finish, please. Just give me a second. So that's why Mauricio Suleiman and the WBC, there's many interviews. You can look it up. They were like, man, we got to make things right with Canelo. We just got to talk to him. There's a misunderstanding. And so now that's why the WBC, they bend over backwards and they kiss Canelo's ass because they get 3% off of every Canelo fight if Canelo fights for their belt. So Canelo now making what, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million a fight. We're talking about anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 a sanctioning fee. That ain't peanuts. That's good money that the WBC wants. So that's why when Canelo tested positive, the WBC came out. No, he's a clean fighter. Like, what the fuck? Why would you say a guy's clean when he just tested positive? But they back Canelo up. Oscar, just guys, let me finish, please. Oscar Valdez just tested positive, and they gave him a pass. Why? Because he's on Team Canelo. David Benavidez, they stripped him like they, in a heartbeat for testing positive for coke. But if you test positive for PEDs, that's different. So that's why with the Charlo shit, by them franchising him, it's genius on the part of the WBC because you avoid that disaster that you just had a few years prior. Now with the Charlo Canelo shit. Now, mind you, I am what you would call a certified Canelo hater, and this and that.
Go on.
But this is, I have sources. Okay, let's just put it like that. Johnny can tell you, I'm, if I have some news, if I'm, Johnny be like, yeah, bro, like I don't just say bullshit.
Can I respond now?
No, just I'm almost done.
Okay.
So Charlo declined the fight, bro, with Canelo. He declined 10 million and then he declined 15 million. Now you may not see this on fucking websites and this and that, but that's the truth.
Can I respond, please?
Go ahead.
Okay. I love your statement because you just admitted that the WBC bends over backwards for Canelo Alvarez. How convenient it is that they created a fake belt the moment Charlo beat Hugo Centeno and became Canelo's mandatory. You do not duck a champion by receiving their belt without fighting them. I love the fact that you are explaining that Canelo and the WBC have some type of relationship which goes against the regular standards of boxing. There is no possible way that you can duck a champion and have his belt. I'm sorry, you may not like to hear this, but Canelo Alvarez forfeited that belt to Jamal Charlo. Why would Charlo duck somebody and receive another belt? That does not make any sense, dude. And you can say sources, but my sources here, I see and heard Mauricio Suleiman himself said Canelo and Lomachenko requested a franchise belt. That's not my conjecture. That is what the man said out of his own mouth. I don't want to play it for copyright reasons on my brother Softpaw's channel, but let's be real, dude. I'm not saying that Canelo Alvarez is not a good fighter, but he is definitely using the WBC to maneuver over boxing. It's simple, dude, because he's the money man. And you explain how much money or what you think the type of money that Canelo is making with this company. Come on, bro. Let's be real. Charlo is a legitimate threat, regardless of what you say, because Eddie Reynoso admitted himself that Charlo is very, very, very dangerous. If Charlo was not dangerous, Canelo Alvarez would have defended his mandatory just like he defended it against Yildirim. So let's be real, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm going to say
man.
something after you.
I think,
go ahead.
you know,
let Jimbo go. Go ahead, Jimbo.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. I was gonna say, you know, Bernard Hopkins went on record, and he said that Golden Boy sent Charlo a career high payday offer, 4 or 5 times more money than he'd ever made.
Does
this is
Canelo
something
work
that
with Golden Boy?
Jamel,
Hold on,
little
you gotta
brother
let him
Charlo,
finish. Yeah, he let you finish.
no, let me finish my point. I'll let you finish it.
Or did he sue Golden Boy to get out of his contract because
This is my
they're
point. They sent him a
mishandling
huge
his
contract
business?
and offered to fight Canelo.
Come on, man. You guys are talking about a company that
Mate, let me make my point. Yeah, and that was 2
mishandling
years
his
afterwards.
career.
Let him go, Artman.
Okay,
Mate,
go ahead.
Can I make my point though? Because you had your little thing in it.
How do you duck a
This is my
champion
point,
and have his
He
leave
sent
of
him
his
this is
belt?
multiple sources.
Mate,
Listen, you're not even letting me finish though, because it's
I
so
swear I
defensive
will
over
shut up
Charlo.
forever if you tell me how you
You've had your point in it.
duck a
Look,
champion
this is
but
my
leave
point.
with his belt.
This is my point. With Charlo, he got elevated, right? It's like a super belt, WBA super title, right? The franchise is the elevation. You can't get stripped and elevated in the same. That's impossible. You cannot be stripped and elevated at the same time, right? It's the reason why Canelo can fight for the Cruiserweight title. It's because he's the franchise, right? Look, they sent him an offer.
It's
He said
because
no,
Canelo has
and
a
he took,
working
peanuts
relationship
to
with the
fight a bar.
WBC. Let's stop
That's what
playing
happened.
games, man.
Hey, Jimbo, real quick though, the franchise and
I'm not
super
denying
champion,
that.
those
you
are
can't
two
deny
different
life.
things though. Like the WBA
I'm
has the
talking about
regular and the
his
super champ.
content.
I think
But-
Jimbo's delayed.
Yeah.
Okay.
His sound might be delayed.
Yeah,
Okay,
mate.
what-
No. I get what you're saying. I know I put in the same friends. Like they say franchise. This is something Mauricio Suleiman said. It's his belt. It's his organization. He's the president. He said that's the highest level of champion. This isn't my opinion. I'm just going off facts. That's what the sanction body
and
is saying. That's the highest level of champion. He's saying he was stripped.
The facts
You
he
can't be
said,
stripped
Mauricio
and
Suleiman
elevated at the
said that
same
Canelo
time.
Alvarez and Lomachenko requested this imaginary belt, which, regardless of what y'all think, the facts are it
can't
no
request it.
longer
Come
made
on, can you
Haney
request
and
it?
Charlo the mandatories, dude. Oh my God! It's like you
Hey.
guys act
Well,
like
Haney,
some
the vice
some white
president
kids or
of Haney
something,
Promotions.
proud and privileged.
Listen, the vice president
Let's
of
be
Haney
real, dude.
Promotions. All right, man.
This belt never existed in the history of the
Yeah,
sport.
I mean, he's privileged. That's why he said no to
Never.
Andrade and fought Montiel for peanuts. Yeah, you're right. That's why Charlo said no to Andrade
Hey,
and fought
we can
Cam
play
Driver for peanuts.
games
Yeah, I
and
agree
act
with
like
you.
you want, but
I'm agreeing with
Hey,
you.
real.
I mean,
It's
hold
a
on.
reason
Can
why a lot of
I
fans
interject?
like
Andrade,
Canelo Alvarez
Can I
want him
interject?
to fight Charlo.
All right,
It's the reason why people want to see him fight
let
Charlo
Josel
over
talk now.
anybody he fought besides Mayweather. Am I right?
Charlo's not that
Am
good,
I
bro.
lying? Am I
Charlo's not
lying?
that good.
Why do fans
What,
want to see
Karabov and
Canelo
Montiel?
versus Alvarez?
Wait, hold on.
Why
I
do
want to
people
be
think that
fair.
is
I
a
want
good
to be
fight
good faith
over
here.
the
I
rest of them?
really want to be good faith here with everybody. Okay, let's be honest. Let's leave our like for fighters or whoever at the door right now. Okay. Would Canelo and Jamal Charlo be a good fight? Yes. Would all of us want to watch it? Yes. Would there be anybody who would complain about that fight? No. What we're saying, or what I would like to get across, is like this idea that Jermall Charlo has. It's kind of like the whole thing with Andrade, where Canelo is the sole reason why Jermall Charlo has been dealt such the bad hand that he's been given. When Jermall Charlo himself is fully responsible for why he isn't where he wants to be right now.
You know he's not
No, hold on. I let you finish. 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 Let me finish. Because you're interrupting because you know you don't want to hear this.
No,
because you know this is going to make your guy look bad. That's why you're interrupting. Because you don't want to hear the honest truth. The honest truth is Jermall Charlo at 160. When did he get to 160? Wasn't it 2016, 2017? Danny, can you confirm? When did he get to 160?
I think it was 2016.
Okay. It is now 2022.
Did you call him Danny?
Yeah, because I have him as Danny here. It says Daniel or Danny. I'm not sure. Yeah. My bad.
That's
bro.
my middle name. That's my middle name, right?
Okay. Okay.
Oh, no, that's funny.
It is 2016. It is now 2022. In those 6 years, did you see Jermall Charlo, besides everyone on planet Earth who would want to fight Canelo, I would want to fight Canelo. Are you kidding me? I'll fight him for $100,000 right now, bro. He can knock me out. I don't care. Like, besides being everybody who wants to get that fight. Did he? Well, no, because you didn't. You have to let me finish. You have to let me finish.
Okay. I'm gonna let you finish, but please let me respond to this. Don't switch it up. Talk about Canelo.
Okay. No. We're gonna talk about this. Did Jermall Charlo ever pursue any fight with another big name fighter that wasn't Canelo and made it happen? It's been 6 years. 6 years is a long time.
No.
If he and after that, I want you to tell me in that 6 year span, what was Canelo doing during those 6 years? Just go from 2016 to 2022 and tell me if they're comparable and if they've done the same amount of work in any sort of span. Even if you wanted to say that Canelo is obviously the WBC want him because they get to suck on Canelo's teeth for like all that extra funding because it's like it's a business. You've got guys like Lomachenko, Naoya Inoue, Terrence Crawford, Alexander Usyk, Leo Santa Cruz, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, Andre Ward, I think, was still fighting at the time. A bunch of guys who got to eat and got to make fights happen. And we are still waiting for Jermall Charlo's big pinnacle fight.
Yeah.
Can I respond?
Go ahead.
Okay, let me respond to that. So, did Charlo do the wrong thing by going up the WBC rankings at 160 and beating every contender to become Canelo Alvarez mandatory? Did he do something wrong by doing that? Because the way I understand boxing is you beat the top contenders and you become the mandatory and you challenge the champion. You explain that the WBC and Canelo Alvarez has some type of working relationship. Charlo literally put himself in position where he gets the Canelo mega fight. And what happened? That opportunity got swiped away from him. Regardless if you say, well, he didn't do nothing after that. The fact is, the opportunity that was presented to him got snatched away from him because of Canelo and the WBC's relationship, dude. So for you to sit here and say, well, it's all on him. That's bullshit, dude. And I'm being real. I'm not even speaking as a Charlo fan. I'm speaking as a fan of the sport of boxing. When you go up the ranks of a sanctioning body by beating all of their contenders and you get that number one spot and that situation gets taken away from you because they want to create some type of fake belt, you know what that is? That's withholding an opportunity from the man to have that big mega fight. So I don't understand how you can say, well, it's all Charlo's fault. I get it. You like Canelo. Canelo did a lot for this sport. You know why? It's because Canelo get opportunities that certain fighters don't get, man. And you got to understand that. I'm not shouting. I'm not screaming at you, and I'm not calling you out your name. I'm just speaking as a real boxing fan, dude. Whenever you go up the rankings as a contender and beat all of the contenders, you're supposed to be put in position to fight the champion, not given the belt because they created some type of mythical belt, bro. Let's be real.
But Canelo hasn't fought a middleweight in 3 years, though. That's the problem. Canelo hasn't fought in the middleweight division.
Is it Charlo's fault that the WBC took that opportunity away from him? Is it Charlo's
It is
fault?
his fault, but he had another opportunity.
It's his fault,
Mate,
right?
He had another opportunity. Canelo hasn't fought in the middleweight division for 3 years. He had an opportunity to unify against Andrade. He said, "No, thank you. Where's Montiel?"
Dude,
We have to keep
you're
it real.
speaking after the
Come on,
fact
I
that
feel like you're
Canelo
fanboying.
Alvarez in the
Hold
WBC
on,
created a
guys. Give me
situation,
5 seconds. Just give me 5 seconds, Jimbo. They're on separate networks, so when you
Sorry,
say
I got disconnected.
You're good.
okay, so
Oh
Jimbo,
man, I love this shit, dude. It's
when you
so
say
easy, man.
when you say that that Charlo declined Android, bro, they're not. Andre's on DAZN, and he's with Matchroom. This dude's a PBC. When do DAZN fighters go to PBC
and when they said that
fight
we'll
on
fight
PBC, and
for
when do PBC
Showtime,
fighters go to DAZN and fight on DAZN?
Really quickly, Adrian wanted to respond.
Andrade
to,
said to come to
something
Showtime to
Artman
fight
was saying.
Charlo.
That's
He
just so
signed to
funny.
Matchroom,
It's
dog. He
like,
can't go to
fuck that.
Showtime. He
It's
signed to
Charlo's fault.
Matchroom.
It's Charlo's fault that he became the mandatory.
No,
and then
but they
get
said
to
they're
Canelo's
open to
fault
do it, though.
fight.
No. He said he was open to do it, though. Well, they should
Man,
have called his bluff.
it's like blaming fucking
Well, Canelo hasn't fought in 3 years. What's he
police
done in the last
brutality
3 years?
victim on the
Montiel.
victim
Okay.
instead of the police.
All right.
Remember,
left that
guys,
Montiel fight.
everything is
Hold on
Canelo's
one
fault.
second.
It's Canelo's
victim,
fault that
all right.
Charlo fought the level of opposition that he has for 6 years. It is
Hold
literally
on,
Canelo's fault.
guys. Hold on one second.
Yeah, it is,
Adrian,
man. It's
you
his
wanted to
fault.
say something.
He said that
You
Montiel.
wanted to respond to something Artman was saying. Adrian, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I don't want to.
Let me rephrase it because I want a clear
wait.
answer. Let me
Okay.
rephrase it because I want a clear answer. Did Charlo do the wrong thing by going up the WBC ranking and becoming the #1 contender for the WBC belt?
No.
So, can you admit that the WBC took an opportunity away from Charlo? Can you admit that?
Oh, I think. We can agree there. That's never
we can
the problem.
most definitely agree
we
there.
can
So
agree.
when you say that it's all Charlo's fault that he didn't get this big fight,
No, I don't.
it sounds like
No.
BS because his big fight was supposed to be Canelo Alvarez, bro.
But
Charlo's fault, yeah.
it's something.
Come
listen,
on, man.
how long ago
And
was
that's just
that? That
boxing.
was what?
That's not even me being
hold
like
on,
a black fan or anything. That's just a boxing fan,
because
bro.
you're
So let's be
basically
real.
saying Soul
No one's
Thing
talking about
is
race
the
apart from
reason
you,
why
but okay.
Charlo is where he's at. As if Charlo didn't have any other option. There's no fighters not named Canelo out there that he could have a scrap with to build some kind of credit. Because like what it seems like, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. Like I don't want to misinterpret you. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is Canelo the sole reason why Jermall Charlo is in the position that he is in right now in his career? Not where he wants to be, and he's even admitted it. Yes or no?
Yes, most definitely.
Of course, it's
And you
not.
want to know why?
Oh my God, you're out of your mind.
Why?
You're actually out of your mind.
Can I
You're
explain?
out of your
Can I
mind.
explain?
There is
Can I explain?
no.
Because-
No,
guys,
that's complete
everyone,
nonsense.
can we just give me a second?
Yeah.
Guy's a dick rider.
Question. Let me. I have a question for everyone. Just please, let me just ask. If you take Canelo, okay, out of these 4 opponents, who's the easiest? I'm gonna say the names, and then I'm gonna call your name, or Johnny's gonna pick you out, and just give me an answer. Benavidez, Bivol, Better Beef, Charlo. Who's the easiest opponent for Canelo out of those 4?
Artman,
My answer is very clear. I think Charlo's the easiest out of those 4. Johnny, ask everyone else, please.
Artman, go ahead and answer.
Yeah, Charlo.
Well, I can say, yeah, that's very subjective, but
just answer the question.
Yeah,
I don't need you to dance around.
Yeah, I'm gonna
What's
be
the
honest.
answer?
Look, I'm gonna be honest. You know why it would be easy? Because it will be in a weight class that Charlo's never fought in. So of course, as a boxing fan, you gotta understand that this is called weight classes in boxing, not height classes. Come on, man.
At
of course, he will be the easiest
saying?
Because that'll be at a different weight class, bro.
What
now,
weight class do you think the Charlo Triple G fight will be?
Easy opponent for Better Beef out of Canelo, Bivol, and motherfucking. Yeah, just out of them two, out of Bivol and Canelo, who will be a harder fight at 175 for Better Beef?
Wait,
the guy coming up in weight, or the guy, or
at
the guy that's
168,
fucking already established in the weight class?
So is that your answer?
Charlo's a nice little tune-up for Canelo.
I just don't even. Listen, if you can't get a straight answer, Johnny, just kick him out of the chat. If you can't even give a simple straight answer, come on, man. Just answer the question. Out of the 4 guys,
of course, it would be Charlo because Charlo will be fighting in a weight class he never fought in.
What weight class are you talking about? 75 or 168?
It will be 168. Duh.
Okay.
Of
Okay.
course, it will be the easier fight because this is a weight class he's never fought in. You're
So
asking
then
about guys
why
who already won world
entertain
titles
that
in different
15
weight
minute
classes,
your
bro.
your 15
What are you
minute
saying?
monologue? It's moot. Like it doesn't mean anything. You think Canelo's gonna go down to 160? Come
I
on,
didn't
man,
say that.
bro. Who
I
are these
didn't say
guys
that
you
at
got
all.
on, man? These guys don't
I
know anything
didn't
about
say that at
boxing.
all.
They're
So
too
I don't know what
biased.
you're talking about. I just love
All
it though.
right. Keep
Canelo
going
has
It's
down
a
the
like
spot
list,
it's,
in the
though.
it's
division
like
Keep
for 3
going down
years.
the list. Keep asking.
Mate, it's
Yeah,
crazy. He hasn't
Yeah, keep
fought
asking,
in the
please.
division for 3
So
years. Why is this a relevant topic?
Guys,
get
it's
Jimbo.
not a relevant topic. It's only for whatever, I guess, whatever the 2-3 friends that Charlo has. They're just stuck on it. Whatever. Johnny, keep asking. Finish up the list.
Go ahead, Jimbo.
The Montiel rematch. Yeah, the Montiel rematch. No, mate, look, I think Charlo's a nice little tune-up. I put him in the same way as a Rocky Fielding or a Yildirim. I put, him in that kind of class of fighters.
Stop.
Yeah, sure.
Stop. You don't
Canelo
even
wants to stay
believe
busy,
that.
right? No, I do, man. I do.
Yeah,
I think
you know,
Andre
it's
is a
funny
way tougher
because
fight.
these guys they
Demetrius
expect to
Andrade
get
is a
some
much
type of
tougher fight.
reaction, like I'm gonna be like, "Oh my god, dude!" It's subjective. If you feel that Rocky Fielding
I mean,
is
you were
better than
screaming a minute
Charlo, then
ago.
that's fine.
You were
That's fine.
screaming a minute ago.
I'm
Charlo,
not
why
screaming.
is
I
he's
don't
a
care. I really
victim?
don't care.
I'm not all right, man.
It's just that I just
I
don't like when
put
people
gun to
try
his
to
head and
say
made him
that
fight
the reason
Montiel.
why.
Turn down that $7 million from the zone. Go fight Montiel for peanuts. All right.
Yo, Joe Sewell, I wanted to ask you really quick.
I'm just saying, man.
Do I get to answer the question too, real quick?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Actually, go ahead. Yeah, answer the question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So obviously, I'd pick Charlo being the easiest of the four. I just think it's so funny that like we had to hear a monologue to explain why, and we couldn't just get an answer as if that was supposed to soften the blow on which of those four would be the least dangerous.
Because it's the
but
truth.
I co-sign that statement.
Hold on. You had a whole synopsis.
Right?
You had a whole
Aren't we
synopsis
boxing
for
fans?
why Charlo was one of those guys, and I forgot who made the point, but they were right. What weight would that even take place at? 168.
If it was at
it would take at
168,
168.
of course it will be
Like,
an easier fight.
Well,
If it
that's
was
where
at
Canelo's
160,
fighting.
it will
But
be a
that's where
different
Canelo's
fight.
fighting.
Of course.
So where else could it take place? Unless you want to go to
Dude, you're
175.
asking if the fight was to happen it would be an easier
And
fight
here,
because this will
Johnny,
be a weight class he is new to. And you're telling me
ahead,
I'm
ask
being
me, what were you
crazy
gonna
for
ask me?
saying that? No, dude, that's just a boxing fan speaking. It's called a weight class for a reason, dude.
Look,
Duh.
when Canelo fought Triple G and Danny Jacobs, they were the two top middleweights in boxing. Yeah, let's keep it a buck. Triple G, Danny Jacobs, number 1 and number 2. Canelo beat them. After that, that's it. He left the middleweight division. Charlo was sent a
You're
contract. He
missing
said,
a
no,
big
thank
step
you.
that
Where's
the guy got
Montiel?
caught up
I
for
don't want Andre.
performance-enhancing
I
drugs.
want
So keep on
Brian
eating his
Adams.
nuts, man.
That's what
Come on,
happened.
dude. If the guy was so confident, he wouldn't take performance-enhancing
Why
drugs,
don't
no
you
matter
keep
how
riding
you
that
try to
Charlo dick
spin
in
it.
it? Did
It's
you pay for
truth.
Montiel?
It's truth.
Did you pay for Montiel?
And you know
So
what?
you
And you know
rate
what?
you
Artman,
rate
Charlo's
guys
laughing
who
at
do
you.
performance-enhancing
I'm glad you
drugs
brought
over
that up
other
Look,
because
Charlo needs to go back to beating up that way.
that was gonna be my
exactly.
next thing.
But hey,
I
Okay,
wanted to
good,
talk
good.
about that. So Josel being
Good.
the Canelo fan. How do you feel about Canelo being on PEDs?
So honestly, at first, I truly believed it was like it could be an accident, but even if it was accidental, you're a professional athlete. You should know what goes into your body because Eddie Reynoso is a butcher. That's his original career. I think the way they handled it was sloppy. It was terrible, and like honestly, I didn't want to hear it. All I wanted at that point was for Canelo to go into VADA, which he did. However, let me make my stance perfectly clear on this. When fighters test positive, no matter who you are, you do serve a suspension. Canelo ended up serving a 6-month suspension. It happened to Eric Morales too, and people seem to not mention that when they talk about how like Eric Morales was like holier than thou Canelo. But I'm not going to bring that up. But
Hey, I got next.
but when we're talking about the PED scandal, if he tests positive again, I know they say 2 years. I would ban him outright from the sport. There's I truly believe there's no place for any kind of PEDs. You can mess up once, but at this point, you're going through VADA and you know better now. If you mess up again, that's too damn bad. You go out. That goes the same for Billy Joe Saunders.
But Joe,
any other
didn't he
athlete.
test positive twice though?
No, he tested positive twice on the same test. You take an initial test and then you take a B test to confirm it, because they don't go off just the first test. They have to do a second test to confirm it. You can't. That's not. It was literally for the same fight. If he does it for another fight, Cruz, then yeah, ban him. You would get no complaints from me.
Yeah, I want to answer that question though, because I actually have a different take. You know, Canelo, when he was busted, he actually did a hair follicle test, and then the WBC cleared him. You know, obviously Latin America has an issue with the clenbuterol in beef products. The soccer team as well, there were issues there as well. I feel like when Canelo did the hair follicle test, and these are facts, these aren't even opinions or like emotional rants, right? I'm going off by facts, right? He cleared the hair follicle test. He signed up to year-round drug test, and he presented the information to the WBC, and they cleared him. So I don't even know why this is an issue anymore. Is Canelo on drugs? I don't know, maybe.
Jimbo,
I think most of the
nobody does hair follicle tests in boxing, bro. Nobody does that.
Canelo did a hair follicle test.
Yeah, he did a hair follicle test.
I think it was a 14 panel.
A hair follicle test traces you back, what, a whole year or something like that?
It depends on the panel. It depends on how many panels the hair follicle test was done.
Right. So I don't nobody does hair follicle tests in boxing, bro. Like, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, believe it or not, Johnny, hair follicle test is one of the best ways to test for PEDs.
Man, I don't know what you're talking about. Canelo did it. You can use Google to do your research.
No, what I'm saying, the hair follicle test is like, to me, is bullshit.
No, it's not, Johnny. The hair follicle test is very effective.
Hey, Johnny, please give me 30 seconds.
Form of drug testing.
They want to talk. Let him talk.
Johnny, give me 30 seconds uninterrupted, please. All I ask for is 30 seconds, okay? Right, me being Mexican, living by the border, there's a few things you got to understand. In Mexico, PEDs are over the counter. No script needed, over the counter, okay? Canelo's body literally transformed over fucking night, where he went from looking for a regular guy to now he's a full-fledged bodybuilder. That's not debatable. And when people want to bring up, the meat and the tainted meat and this and that, here's the thing. The hair follicle test, he took a test, I want to say February 17th, he tested positive, and then he took a hair test 6 weeks later. Guess what, guys? I can pass a hair test. They sell shit at the smoke shop that'll make you pass a hair test. That's why probation, if you have like problems with CPS, like let's say, they're trying to take your kids away and shit like that, they don't do hair tests because you can pass it by cleaning your hair. It's easy. I've done it.
No. See, the trace amounts, mate, what happened was, you have to do your research, innit? The trace amounts they found in Canelo's system was linked to meat contamination. So Canelo did the hair follicle test and presented that information, right? And they determined that, he was telling the truth. Just like the Mexican soccer team.
The old
right?
Jimbo, he was still suspended. What are you talking about?
You still get suspended. Accident or not, you still get suspended. Yeah, but that's not an admission to guilt, though.
Yeah.
Why did he admitted guilt? That's why they reduced the suspension.
No. You said he got suspended as if he just said, okay, he got suspended, so that means he did it on purpose. No, he got suspended because it was in his system. No matter how it gets into your system, you are still suspended. If someone injected you with it, you still get suspended.
But Joe, what you're missing is that he's trying to say WBC cleared him, WBC this. Remember, that's the same WBC that needs that $300,000 per fight. Bro, they said he was fair. Listen, hold on. Let me finish.
Hey, One second. Let me finish. Can I make a point real fast? I'm going to make a quick point. So, regardless of any boxing, there's no one does year-round testing like USADA does with UFC. I think there's 14 boxers that are under USADA. Unless these guys are getting tested twice a month, and then random, you can make an argument that all these guys are on PEDs.
So does that make it any better?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, why did VAR?
Everyone wants to just pick on Canelo and PEDs. Unless you're getting year-round testing through USADA, WADA doesn't do as good testing as USADA. USADA actually has better testing, especially for EPOs, because the EPOs that's the PED that these guys really want to use. So unless these commissions or promotions start doing year-round testing, it's not going to solve the issue. You're never going to know who did what. Hair follicle test, this, that. Boxing really needs to clean up the sport.
I know, Adrian. Let me just finish what I was going to say, okay? The thing is, right? The WBC, they came out and said that Canelo's a clean fighter, and the WBA did this as well because they're both, they both get really big sanction fees from Canelo. They came out the day that Canelo came out dirty, February 17th. Mind you, Canelo didn't test positive once. He tested positive twice. February 17th, 2018, and February 20th, 2018. Both were tested positive. The trace amount, we can use all that bullshit we want, but he tested positive. And there was no way for him. No, let me finish, please. Dude, you're over talking me. You're not letting me finish. I let you speak. Let me speak, please. Okay? The WBC and WBA said he was clean before any hair follicle tests. They said he was clean after he tested positive. That's a conflict of interest. The Nevada Athletic Commission never cleared Canelo. He was suspended. He admitted guilt. That's why his suspension was reduced from 2 years to 6 months. And they retroactive his suspension. He admitted wrongdoing. But the thing is, if you listen to a lot of these guys on YouTube and the internet that like Canelo, they're going to tell you, nah, bro, contaminating meat, da-da-da-da-da. They're going to tell you to ignore that his body literally transformed overnight. You know what I mean? Canelo's body never looked like this. Are we fucking blind? That's like you see a skinny chick walking down the street, and the next day you see her, she has the biggest ass you've ever seen. You're gonna go, oh nah, she's been working out. Like, come on, bro. Like, we ain't that fucking stupid. Like, we can't be this fucking dumb. He tested positive. The hair test means jack shit because he was still suspended. It didn't mean nothing, bro. I can pass a hair test. I can pass a urine test. I can pass a mouth swab. I'm one of the heaviest bud smokers you'll ever see. The guys that do follow me on Facebook, they know they know how I am. A hair test is the easiest, probably easier than urine to pass. Hair test is fucking simple. I'll take a hair test in a heartbeat more than a urine test. It is so simple to pass. And the thing is, if you take a hair test 6 weeks after your positive test, what does it prove? It doesn't prove nothing. Doesn't prove it.
Listen,
let me just jump in real fast. The hair follicle.
The reason why people don't do hair follicle test is because it's the most accurate form of drug testing.
Just so you know, the cheap ones with CPS, like through like DCPP or whatever, your Child Protective Services, that's like a 5-panel or 7-panel. It's only 90 days.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to tell you, a hair test, bro, it's not a blood test. You got me there. I don't know how to pass a blood test.
Your hair, the hair sample needs to be 2-3 inches. And Brandon, you're bald, bro. You ain't even out here.
Yeah, but trust me, I let my hair grow out. I'll get a little afro, bro. You know what I mean? But what I'm trying to say, bro, a hair test, guys, look it up. Can you clean your hair with stuff from a smoke shop? It'll tell you yes, you can. It's right there, bro. Canelo was never exonerated, but what happens is you have these pages that they worship and idolize Canelo, and right now being a Canelo fanboy is very lucrative online. So what they'll do is they'll spit these lies to you. They'll tell you these lies. They'll tell you these lies. Look at them. Come on, bro. Are we that fucking blind? What? He just started working out. He just started taking boxing more serious. Come on, man. Canelo went from good to great. Canelo never used to be on no pound for pound list or none of that shit.
Actually, he was pound for pound before he fought Floyd Mayweather, after he unified with Austin Trout.
Bro, they put him like in the 9th or 10th. Come on, and that was Ring Magazine.
But he was pound for pound.
Bro, no one ever looked at Canelo as a pound for pound fighter. Stop it, Joel. Come on.
No, he was pound for pound, and you can't just say he wasn't just because you don't want it to be true.
He wasn't. Okay, so you're gonna tell me that when they talked about the top fighters pound for pound, Canelo's name was brought up?
Yeah, before he fought Floyd Mayweather, after he unified with Austin Trout, he was on the pound for pound list.
Stop, bro.
That's true. You can't just say stop because it's true.
Floyd,
that's a fact.
Marquez, those were the pound for pound guys. Canelo wasn't a top 5.
That's 3 guys. The pound for pound list is made up of 10 dudes.
Look it up, Johnny. Do me a favor, Johnny. Look up 2010, 2012 pound for pound list and 2013 pound for pound list. I guarantee Canelo's nowhere near the top 5, top 7. Anything maybe 9 or 10, nowhere near no pound for pound list, bro. Tripping. Canelo's a good fighter. He's the, I guess you could say he's the best right now. But his PED usage, bro, there's no justifying it. There's not. He tested positive. His body transformed, and he tested positive, bro. Like literally, when all the pictures started coming out of his body after his body transformation, everyone started joking. Yep, he's on PEDs for sure. And it was just, we're just fucking around. And then he tested positive. It was like, wow. Can
Hey,
you maximize
Brandon,
the Johnny? I can't see
Canelo
what name.
Alvarez was indeed on the Congress.
He was.
Where,
And
9 or
nothing
10?
else
Number
means
9.
nothing anymore.
Number 9.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Nowhere near the top 5. He was never considered one of the best fighters in the world, regardless of weight class. Never. Never. Not till after Triple G.
Hey, Brandon, would you agree with me on? I think Canelo's PED use became a big difference after the first Triple G fight. I think
Yeah,
heading
the
into
first
the
Triple G
second
fight, he
one,
was clean. The
I
first
felt
Triple G
like-
fight, he was clean.
yeah, I felt like there was a huge difference in his performance.
Oh yeah, his pop, bro. He couldn't. Triple G made him go wherever he wanted in the first fight. Made him go to the ropes. Made him go wherever he wanted. The second fight, Triple G couldn't back him up at all. I mean, you tell me, bro.
I know I'm not. I would never say Canelo's clean, but I also think the majority of the boxers, the top guys, are all on something.
I mean, I think PED usage is frequent. The thing is, what people got to remember, there is no year-round drug testing. The guys only when Canelo or whoever has a fight scheduled, they at that time, once the fight's officially announced, they enroll in VADA testing, and that's when testing begins. So that's why, if you notice, and I'm not trying to shit on Canelo, but these are facts. For whatever reason, Canelo, he's only wanted to make a fight official 4 to 6 weeks before a fight, when a fighter of his caliber will have a fight announced 3 months ahead of time. That's why, for me, that's why I think the planned fight got pushed back, because Canelo cannot afford a positive drug test. If he gets a positive drug test, per the rules by the Nevada Athletic Commission, they'll have to try to fucking suspend him for like 2 years. Because that's what he should have gotten the first time. But like I say, since he admitted guilt, he got a 6-year. He admitted wrongdoing. He got a 6-month suspension instead of 2 years. So, like I said, man,
he basically Canelo's PED usage is similar to Mayweather's. The way that he waits last minute. He stole a lot of that from Mayweather.
With Floyd, I'm not a Floyd fan, but see the advantage with Floyd always had a fucking body ripped up, this and that. There's not. You would have to show me a fight where you'd be like, damn, look at Floyd this fight. His body just looks way different. Canelo, like I said, Canelo's body literally transformed.
Super welterweight looks different. He started at super featherweight, and even up to junior welterweight. Like, I'm not because I'm not going to accuse anyone if they've never tested. Like, I don't like until Pacquiao ever gets found out to be like a PED tester. I'm not going to believe anything anyone says about him, because like it's all speculation.
Josel, hold on one quick second. Brandon, there's static coming from you, so I'm going to move every time I talk. Because there's static coming from you. Not static, sorry, echo. All right, go ahead, Josel.
Okay. So let's talk about the PED thing, because like at this point, I think everyone has made their mind up about whether it was intentional or not, or whether some people believe all the fighters are on it, and some people believe that like it was an accident, or that people intentionally go out of their ways to do it. I think we can all agree we've all made up our minds about it. I'm of the camp that, like I said, you can do it once. If you do it twice, that I think there's no room for it, even if it was an accident. Like, you're a professional athlete. Like, we just recently, like, I mean, y'all are going to see in the news, like, the whole thing with that 15-year-old girl from Russia in the Olympics who tested positive for drugs, or not drugs, for a PED, and still got allowed to compete, while Shannon Richardson ended up getting suspended from the Olympics. And this is ongoing right now. This is, like, the big sports talking point with PEDs. I'd like to think boxing still does a better job than the Olympics. But as a whole, if you believe he's doing it on purpose, then nothing I say or anyone will say will convince you. And none of us are there. Not one of us are there in Canelo's camp knowing exactly if they like stick needles in each other or not. All we can do is stay vigilant and keep watching, because while we're upset about Canelo doing it, there's still other guys who still do it, and people in our past, like we forget that like Eric Morales tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug, yet we celebrate him like the guy was like holier than thou, when we all know we should know he wasn't.
You got to use context, bro. He used a diuretic to try to make weight versus Danny Garcia, and he got knocked out in 4 rounds.
Which is still cheating.
Yeah, it is, but we got to use context. You know what I mean? He beat Barrera clean. He beat Pacquiao clean. You know what I'm saying? So we got
I get it.
We got to
But
use
like,
context, bro. Context matters. When your body
context
transforms,
does matter.
when your
Context
body
does matter.
transforms overnight and you get the biggest win of your career, for me, that's different than you testing positive and getting knocked out in 3 rounds.
But the thing was, like, people act like that he suddenly got on Peds, and that's the reason he was so good in the second fight. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the game plan. Canelo was on his back foot for the first Triple G fight. Even in the second Triple G fight, when they fought, Canelo was still hitting him flush, and Triple G wasn't backing off. But they were still fighting in the pocket. Like, the difference was the game plan. He chose to be aggressive and sit there and bang with him. And it worked out, though I think that fight was a draw. I actually think that fight was a draw.
The game plan...
really quickly. Hold on, guys. I just want to respond to this comment. He says, you all hate my greatness. That's why the host muted me. Jimbo, I didn't boot you because... I didn't mute you because you were doing whatever. I muted you because you were talking over everybody. That's the only reason. It's just like I'm muting everybody else who's talking over each other. Just to set the record straight. Go ahead, Josel. My bad.
No, I think, like, I unless there's anything else about Canelo that we need to talk about, the only thing I could think of left is literally who we want to see him fight next. And obviously, I've already made my decision. I would like to see him fight Bivol or Charlo. Either of those 2 fights are great.
You know what? I would give him so much respect if he fought Bivol. Because although a lot of people, some people don't like that fight, they think that Bivol is really not
trash fight.
Way better than Makabu, and way better than probably anybody else other than Benavidez, in my opinion. But anyways, fellas, I'm gonna end the stream now. I really appreciate you guys being on.
Thanks for having me on.
Until next time, man.